the Reverend Mandy Beal. I'm this congregation's senior minister. I'm joined today in leading our worship service by our co-directors of music ministry, Abha and Stephen Deering, with an awful lot of support from our communications coordinator, Sarah Constantakis. Our services will be held on Zoom and then posted on Facebook every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. until they're not. Birmingham Unitarian Church is a welcoming congregation. This is a designation that a UU congregation can earn that demonstrates a commitment to learning about and doing the work of being fully inclusive of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer individuals and families. We're also a Green Sanctuary congregation, which is a similar designation for working on environmental justice issues. And although there is currently no such designation for racial justice, we are deeply committed to that work as well. As we continue using Zoom for our worship services, we have a few reminders. First, as a service to your fellow participants, we ask that you please do not type comments during the service. Second, we recommend that all of you remain in the speaker view, and this will automatically make the worship leaders window the largest on your screen. And following that, we recommend that you also stay on mute, otherwise you will be the largest window on the screen. And that includes during singing of hymns, which I personally enjoy because then I can sing loudly in whichever key I happen to be in. Today, there will be a virtual coffee hour after the service. You will be randomly assorted into breakout groups. We hope that you will participate in this opportunity to connect with others, to build and strengthen our community. If you are worshiping with us for the first time today, we extend a special welcome to you. We invite you to join in our virtual coffee hour. And following that, for those of you who are not new, please take a little time to get to know the people who are new and extend them that special welcome in person. There are no announcements this morning. Should you have an announcement for next week, please contact our communications coordinator, Sarah Constantakis. And finally, a quick and ongoing reminder to please reach out to people who don't use the internet. Please give them a call, make sure they're okay. Also help us reach out to them by adding them to our phone call list, which you can do by visiting our website. Today's service is centered around the theme of balance. Thank you again for joining us this morning or whenever you're watching this. Although we are not physically together, we are together in spirit, and it is good to be together again. And with that, our morning service will begin.
This morning's prelude is by French Baroque composer Robert Devizes, and Steve will be playing an allemande.
We worship this morning from our separate homes, but we join with the multitude of Unitarian Universalists in lighting our chalice. If you have a chalice in your home or just a candle you'd like to light, I invite you to do that along with me. May our chalice flame dancing on its wick be a reminder that balance does not always look like stillness, nor does it always look like movement. During this tumultuous time, let us seek a sure-footed balance.
Let's join in singing. This is hymn number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life. The words will show up on your screen. Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. Then, when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
Our opening words this morning are Meditation for Letting Go by Carol Almond Morton, slightly adapted. Many of us carry a burden of worry, anxiety over the state of the world, worries about money, about the pandemic, our families, about peace and justice. May we trust that nothing will get worse for us putting it down for a moment. May we let go of what weighs us down. May we find that we can set down our worry for longer and longer periods of time. In our experience of letting go, may we open up to the possibility that we need not pick up some of those worries again. May we find passion and strength to work for change where we have the power to do so and let go of where we do not. If not forever, let us put down our worries and anxiety for a time of quiet. May we be in quiet together. The time has come in our service when we ask for your financial support. Our beloved community relies on the support of our members and friends to provide worship services, religious education, our music program, community conversations, and so much more. We all know that the coronavirus pandemic has impacted personal finances and our economy. Our church is also deeply impacted by the recent events, and we need your support now more than ever. Your contributions can be sent using Venmo or our website. Our Venmo username is @BUCMI. You'll see Joanne Copeland's name there, but it is in fact linked to BUC's bank account. Or if you navigate to our website, there is a Donate Now button. If you need to set up accounts through either of these giving platforms, I encourage you to do so when the service is over. You can also put a check in the mail to us. We can't do what we do without your contributions. And so I invite you to please give generously.
The offertory song for today is a song that many of you will already know. It's originally recorded by the Byrds. It's Turn, Turn, Turn. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to breathe, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from grace. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rent, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
We set aside time each week for prayer and reflection, and we begin always with a sharing of joys and sorrows. If you'd like to submit your joys and sorrows for next week, please use the link that is provided in the BUC shout out every Thursday. And remember that if you submit a joy and sorrow through that portal, it will be shared in the space and it will be available to the public. This morning, our community has one sorrow. Christina Duchamp died last Sunday after a brief battle with COVID. She was a part of the BUC community in the 1990s and participated in our first Daffodil Sunday. She had several health complications that prevented her from being a part of her congregation recently, but she felt she had a spiritual home here. Christina is survived by her partner of almost 20 years, Nancy Forster. And we know that there are joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts this morning that were not shared. I invite you now to move with me deeper into a spirit of reflection and prayer. Spirit of our life, Spirit of love, we gather this morning as a community that is thrown deeply out of balance. We are here in a time that doesn't make sense, in a time where the patterns and cycles of our life have been taken from us, in a time of deep unknowing and fear. Spirit of love and life, sometimes known as Shiva, the divine dancer, Nataraja. Help us remember that it is by dancing in the conflict and the concern and the worries that we can be able to maintain balance. the pauses, the movements, the joy, the fear, all of these experiences of our life, acknowledging them and honoring them is what brings us deeply into balance. We hold Christina Duchamp deeply in our hearts. We hold Nancy Forrester and all those who knew and loved Christina in our hearts too. We hold also everyone who is ill with COVID and those who are impacted by it. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be.
Spirit of life, come to me. Sing in my heart all the stories of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. In giving life the shape of justice. Who told me those wings set me free? Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our reading this morning is an excerpt from No Man is an Island by Thomas Merton, written in 1955. We cannot be happy if we expect to live all the time at life's highest peak of intensity. Happiness is not a matter of intensity, but of balance and order and rhythm and harmony. Music is pleasing not only because of the sound, but because of the silence that is in it. Without the alternation of sound and silence, there would be no rhythm. If we strive to be happy by filling all the silences of life with sound, productive by turning all of life's leisure into work, and real by turning all our being into doing, we will only succeed in producing hell on earth. During this time of many emotions and a disrupted schedule, I keep coming back to the idea of balance. All of us are used to living at peak capacity, or the height of intensity, as Thomas Merton called it. This time of physical stillness and emotional intensity has laid us bare. We are stripped down to our basic components, and we are confronted with a kind of existential crisis. One of the struggles that I've witnessed this week in myself and in others is the struggle to find order and meaning in these days. Structuring our time, having a schedule, gives us the order and the meaning that supports emotional balance. I think a lot of us started off thinking that this was kind of an extended snow day, but after 3 or 4 days, it was no longer a healthy place to be. Many of us rely on structure from external forces like work and school. These institutions are the driving factors in many of our schedules. The loss of structure for people in this category is readily apparent. Even if you are retired or you are a committed free spirit, your schedule has been disrupted too by travel restrictions and the closure of stores and restaurants. Whether our lives are highly regimented or free-flowing, we all rely on having some kind of structure to our days. And now those structures are disrupted, and we are left to balance our time and our emotions on our own. And I imagine this has been destabilizing for all of us on some level. The need for structure is inherent to our nature. Our ancestors used the seasons and cycles of the natural world to put meaning to their lives. The sun lessens in the winter, buds appear in the spring, crops grow in the summer and are ready for harvest in the fall, and time to be stored for the winter, and it starts over again. The natural world goes on in much the same way, but our daily rhythms have been thoroughly disrupted. We, as individuals, are now largely responsible for creating order and meaning in our days, and that is hard. I tend to default to the extremes of overwork or listlessness when I don't have a schedule. So this past week, I felt compelled to put a daily schedule in place. And that helps me to create a structure that is otherwise missing from my life right now. It is completely artificial, but it helps me to maintain a balance that supports my emotional and spiritual well-being. And when I start to feel myself doubting the validity of an artificial structure that I created and I could easily ignore, I am reminded of one of my greatest childhood fears. I grew up outside of Houston in an area where everyone's parents worked for NASA, including my dad. And because of this unique environment, most of our school projects had some kind of reference to space travel. We had math problems like if there are 3 astronauts and 15 packs of astronaut ice cream, and essays about discovering life form, art projects about drawing a blueprint for the International Space Station. It was all space, all the time. And I was convinced and terrified that I was going to have to live in a space colony one day. And it was absolutely the last thing that I wanted to do. I hated the idea of space. Space was dark and cold and quiet, and I was and remain none of that. In a space colony, you would be confined in the same setting with the same people doing the same stuff over and over again forever. And it sounded boring and awful. And now here we are on alien terrain, facing many of those same challenges. One of the things that is most important to making a successful astronaut is an unyielding discipline. They must be able to tolerate confined spaces for long periods of time, maintain collegial relationships with people in a high pressure environment without a lot of space, ironically, and keep a relentlessly strict schedule for every aspect of their life in space: when to sleep, when to exercise, when to eat, what to eat. This strict regimen is necessary, and they could not survive without it. While in space, an astronaut's circadian rhythm is completely disrupted. There is no night or day. They must adhere to their schedules in order to stay healthy and to stay sane. Their schedules also support those collegial relationships by ensuring that everyone has the physical space that they need and they can go about their work with minimal disruptions. Everyone on a space shuttle or in the space station must sacrifice their freedom for the good of their companions and to meet their greater goals. In exchange for the monotony, they're in space. I don't want to be there, but a lot of people do. Their highly structured lives and the sacrifices that they make are balanced by amazing rewards. They get to see the Earth and the moon from a view the rest of us can only see and photographs. They contribute to groundbreaking scientific research. They have an experience that makes it all worthwhile. Regardless of how hard it is, they've dedicated their entire lives and, in fact, risked their lives to these greater ends. And although we don't exactly have the same payoffs by staying in our homes, we do have the opportunity to meet a greater good. We all know that staying in our homes saves lives. It eases the burden on our medical system. It helps slow the spread of a deadly disease. These benefits require that we commit to staying in our home, and when we do have to leave, that we stay 6 feet apart from each other. The rewards that we enjoy don't quite parallel with the rewards of the astronauts, but then again, neither does the amount of structure that we must place on ourselves. We might be getting tired of whatever we have in our freezer, but I promise you, it is nowhere near as gross as astronaut ice cream. That stuff is an insult to ice cream and to astronauts. It is awful. The precautions placed on us are annoying and disruptive, but they are necessary. We are used to living at full volume, at the height of intensity, as Thomas Merton put it. But withdrawing from that level of stimulus into the slower physical pace of our current circumstances presents an opportunity to reflect on true balance. Perhaps even a more natural balance than we are used to in a world dominated by the structure of obligation over personal need. Merton called the peak of intensity that is our usual lives a hell on earth. It's important to note that he was writing in 1955, and the intensity of our lives has increased exponentially since that time. Although our current circumstance is new and challenging, it could be the corrective to the fast-paced, high-intensity lives that we have been living. This is our opportunity to discover our own meaning-making, to find the balance that we may have been missing in our lives outside of this. Creating our own balance by imposing a structure in our days that supports our emotional well-being might feel overwhelming or pointless, but if we learn to do that now, we will reap a reward. Perhaps we will be able to carry it with us when this experience is over. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
In memory of Bill Withers, who wrote Lean on Me and passed away this week, and in honor of our common purpose and struggle, please join in on our last hymn today. We all need each other, and we can feel each other's energy singing out. So feel free to have a dance party and harmonize, and let's sing Lean on Me together.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on. You won't be alone, I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear,
Go now out into your days and remember to take with you the strength to create some kind of balance and the patience for when you're not able to. Find a way to support your emotional and your spiritual well-being, to bring some love and grace to yourself and into the world. May it be so. Amen and blessed be.